Hi, folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us after the premiere of our 270th episode of Fentanyl Poisoning. So I see we have over 30 people here. Hello, Shoe Lover. We have seen you here before, I believe. Thank you for being a sponsor. Hello, Viola. Welcome. Glad you're here. So, for starters, how about a little bit of feedback on the episode that just went? Mary at Sea Level. Oh, hello. Thank you for the heartbreaking video. I saw my mom's last name, McGuire, and I clicked. Shawneen Hall, welcome back. Have not seen you in a while, but it's great to see you here now, and hope everything's going okay. So, Mary at Sea Level. So, what'd you think? What it was the story from family? And Shawneen, hi, everything okay? I hope everything's okay. Been a while. I almost missed starting this on time. Emotional, healthy though. Yeah, yeah. That seems to me a good way to describe it. Emotional but healthy. Welcome, Brenda. Good to see you here again. Have you thought of making an update on how life was after the video went viral for the most watched video in your channel? The most watched video in our channel. Huh. Well, not specifically for the most watch. The most watch would be one of them, but we have talked about doing updates on some of them and maybe having some sort of do some live event where it's me and one of the storytellers from one of our earlier series, the one of the from stories that have had a lot of views, maybe drawn a lot of comments. That those stories, like one that stands out to me is our most viewed story is Dr. Karen Jackson. It was one of the first stories that we did. It was a story that we did here in Houston with we did for the DEA back when the DEA had a fentanyl family summit here in Houston. So, not my immediate family. There's a lot of McGuire's, but still very sad. I'm a mom to kids 25, 19, and 16, so I'm always on edge. But there's also always lots to be grateful for sure, right? I saw I saw God 2012 begged him for my life, and he let me come back. Nobody believes it. People here believe it, Damon. So, uh, uh, what happened in 2012? I could say if you don't mind me asking, but I don't I don't care if you mind me asking or not, because holy cow, it's what we do here. We ask questions. So in 2012, was that a something involving addiction? Janine says everything's been okay. I just a very important, special person like a father to me got diagnosed with cancer. Everything's been a little crazy here. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. That's rough. Damon says Detroit. I don't. Okay, I'm guessing that's where you're at. I promise. Okay. Brenda says, Damon, don't worry. With non-believers, they are usually too close-minded to see the light. And holy cow, Brenda, that too should have two O's in it. I just can't let that go, especially with Brenda, because we have such a good time picking on each other. So, Kareem B, Dr. Karen is the reason that I found you guys on YouTube. Yeah, Karen, the Karen Jackson story, the storyteller, her name is Catrice. And Catrice is awesome. Catrice is so on it. She's been on local TV a couple of times, interviewed about her story with her sister. She's awesome. So you collapsed at McDonald's. Oh, Brad. Collapsed at McDonald's, Damon. Shoneen, I'm sorry. I will keep this father-like person in my prayers, and we're glad you joined us. Yes, very glad you're here. For sure. Damon says he told me to go back there and tell them what you saw. Okay. And here you are. And I am sure you have shared that with others. I hope so. There is Carla and Brad. So I'm not the oldest guy in the room. That's awesome. Jonine, retired Special Forces Green Beret, very special decorated person. I'm completely crushed. I appreciate all of you guys. Retired Special Forces Green Beret. And you had someone like that in your life. So sorry for what you're going through, but wow, there is something to be thankful about that too, right? Yeah, in Florida, my mom was in the restroom. I begged God not to let my mom find me face down. And how are things now, Damon? Who else do we have here in the group right now? Is there any other new visitors? He spared you. It sounds like he gave you an assignment. So other new visitors, other people new to the group, maybe anyone who might have questions for me or about Texas Pictures or whatever. Well, hello, Nikki. Nikki McKetchin. Welcome. Well, glad you're here. What part of the world are you in? Are you in the United States? You uh, uh, Gee, Damon, I'm very sorry to hear about your loss. Uh, that's tough. I'm very sorry for your loss. North Carolina. We have shot stories in North Carolina. We shot it in uh, Brevard. Is that a place in North Carolina? I believe it is. We shot stories in North Carolina last year. Ah, Carla. Do you have coffee mugs or shirts for sale on you? We do. We have a link on our website to a merchandise store that has t-shirts and sweatshirts and hoodies, and there's coffee mugs and all kind of cool. Not really all that much cool stuff, but some cool stuff. And it's on our website. Our website, texas-pictures.com. Fayetteville. Okay, but Brevard, Brevard, however you say it, that's a place, right? That's in North Carolina, right? Your show I watched all the time while my mom was in her computer room. I told her about this show. Well, the coffee mugs are there, Carla. So that's cool that you shared the that you shared our stories with her. That's cool. Janine, yes, there's a Brevard County also in Florida, and we have shot stories there too. We are going back there. We're going back. We're going to be back in Brevard. I can tell you when. We're going to be in Brevard 28th, 29th, and 30th of August. There is a rally on the 30th that I'll be able to tell you guys about next time. Next time I'll have some graphics ready. Yeah, I'll have a graphic. There's a rally in Brevard County in Florida. Damon, we're going to be shooting stories in Pensacola. Also, we're going to be in Pensacola first, and then Brevard, Florida. We're going to be in Pensacola on the recording stories on the 25th and 26th of August. Because when better to go to Florida when than August when it is like the surface of the sun. Mary says, "Don't forget to hit the like button so the video gets out more." That's correct. Yes, we need to hit the like button. We have 8 likes. Ooh, I just saw it go up. That's cool. We have 8 likes, and right now we have 17 people in the room. So, come on. Brad, I am 327 days into the first year of my 5-year plan. Not quite smooth sailing, but I am at least out of the eye of the hurricane. There you go. Good job, Brenda. Congrats, Brad and Brenda. So, Damon, the event, you can, our storytelling event, you're welcome to be a part of it. There will be an announcement on our channel and on our Facebook group sometime probably tomorrow. With more information about it, but there is a sign up spot to share your story. Carla, Glenn, who are you talking to? Congratulations, Brad and Brenda. Yeah. So, so Damon, you're welcome welcome to join us when we're in Pensacola. So, more information about that will be posted in the community section on the channel here in the next day or two. So just kind of watch for it. We'll get it up there soon. Uh, Brenda says, I share my story because God blessed me with taking the shame and guilt when he took the addiction. People can try to hit me with the stigma and it won't stick. So nana nana boo boo. Okay. All right. And so Mary says, yes, Brenda. All right. So yeah, there is. Uh, if there's anyone Brad, the dogs are around. I'm sure that we will hear from them at some point very soon. So I had a question. Now I forgot. Sharing your story. I know. I've said this. I've said this before. We've talked about it before here, but I can't say enough about how important it is to share your story. If you have a life experience that you don't share with people that matter to you, you're kind of wasting the experience. You've got this lesson that other people can grow from. And if you just keep it within yourself, you're not being part of the solution. You're not contributing. You're not helping other people grow. You're not finding any value of whatever happened in your story. So Damon said you have Narcan in your car. I have it right here, and I have some in my car, and I have some in the camera bag. That's probably it right now, but I probably have 6 doses in the car, four in the camera bag, 4 within reach right now. This is 2 doses. And it is all Narcan, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah, here we are. Some of you folks know what's coming now, but there is, of course, Narcan. Aside from Narcan, there are other equally effective brands that work just as well. And so here's the graphic. All of these are equally effective. Only one says Narcan. The active ingredient in all of these is Naloxone. All of these are the same dose of Naloxone as Narcan. One is Narcan, the one on the bottom there, but then there's a Walgreens brand and three others, and then Cloxato with the white and orange package on the left. Cloxato actually has an 8 milligram dose rather than a 4 milligram dose. And so naloxone is what matters. Naloxone. It's not as easy to say as Narcan. It certainly doesn't sound as cool as Narcan. Narcan has even become a verb. They Narcaned him 3 times. You hear that, but Narcan is a brand name. It's like the difference between saying a tissue and a Kleenex. Except this isn't tissue, and Kleenex isn't a life and death thing. So what I was going to say about Cloxato is an 8 milligram dose. Everything else in that picture, in that graphic, is a 4 milligram dose. And there is research in the Journal of the American Medical Association that suggests, that's how they word it, suggests that the higher dose is more effective, that it works a little bit more quickly, a few seconds. But when we're talking about hypoxia, a few seconds matter a lot. We're talking about getting oxygen back to the brain. A few seconds matter a lot. So I know that there's some harm reduction people out there who talk about Cloxato as being harmful. I've seen graphics made by harm reduction organizations that say no to Cloxato. And the reason for that is because it's a higher dose. They believe it puts the user deeper into withdrawal. Maybe, but naloxone wears off in 30 minutes. I've seen all kinds of graphics about it, but somewhere between 20 minutes and an hour or so, it can wear off. So 4 milligram dose has the risk of putting you into withdrawal as well because it blocks the opioid receptors in your brain. So blocked receptors means you can't get the opioid. You can't get whatever opioid your addiction is screaming for. So you're in withdrawal. There's some people I've been talking with who have a product that works similarly to the way Narcan and naloxone work, except it'll last up to 18 hours, 12 to 18 hours. And that will put someone beyond withdrawal and into detox. Brenda says, don't throw away naloxone after it expires. Apparently, it still works for years after it is made. Yeah, the expiration date is misleading. I have a graphic on my phone. I don't have a way to bring it here right now, but yeah, that it can stay effective and only lose a minimal amount of efficacy for 30 years. For up to 30 years. If it's been frozen and thawed, it'll still work. If it's been boiled, it'll still work. And so there you go. There's the graphic, but anyway. Mary says they will give you for free the nose spray or Narcan kit or both. Damon says, I just left California. All I saw was people close to dying if they don't get help soon. The people that are in addiction, is that what you're talking about, Damon? Okay, good night. I'm pooped almost 10 here in Atlantic City time. Mary, you're being a wimp, but that's all right. That's all right. Good night to you. It's okay in heat and glove box as well. Every car should have it. And there is a real good chance that one box is not enough. We hear of a lot of incidents where someone is revived with naloxone, Narcan, where someone is revived with naloxone, but that it takes 3 or 4 or more doses to revive them. Smoking blue pills. There's very little of that believing that the blue pills are what they're made to look like anymore. Everyone seems to recognize that the blue pills are fentanyl pills. They're called dirty 30s. A blue head. Brenda, you got to help me out. I don't know what that is. A blue head. I haven't heard that term before. I guess I can kind of figure it out. It sounds like it's something that is predictable, but Tanya says that's true. I've heard 5 doses. So when you get into five doses, that that kind of volume, I hear 3, 4, or 5. Awesome. I went on a overdose call with uh, hmm, when things are so strange here right now. Bluehead is a person who uses fentanyl. It derives from the old term crackhead. So Brenda's quite the historian here now. That's interesting. A bluehead. A bluehead. Damon says after giving Brenda a hard time for using the wrong version of 2, I can't really let Damon saying I'm sober go either. So that is awesome. You're sober. You're sober now. Saying I'm sober? Well, I'm sober. What else are you saying with that, Damon? All right, have you been struggling? Really, there is a series of addiction recovery stories on our channel. Did I miss that, Shawneen? He was shooting fentanyl and meth 3 to 4 grams a day, and you're sober now. That's something big to celebrate. Even despite your loss, despite the difficulty. Imagine how your mother feels about that. I would think. Brenda says, when I first heard Bluehead, I thought of the catfish. Pretty sad considering I used fentanyl for years. Damon was drinking, been clean 7 years. Good job. That's why Tanya says, that's why we say back away when you give it to them. Shani, my son had 5 doses a few times and came to swinging. He got a battery on a law enforcement officer for it. Yeah, that's a thing. When someone is revived, they have they are immediately in withdrawal, and they don't like that. It is a that's a brutal reality of saving a person's life, is that they're they're not going to be happy about it initially, at least. And that doesn't matter if you're giving them 3, 4, 5 doses. It doesn't matter if it's Cloxado or any other version of naloxone. There's going to be that that straight into withdrawal experience. Brenda, you're gold. Look at all the good things that you have going on that helps people in that same boat that you were in, and that helps people that are in the same boat that you're in now. Yeah, Brad, I saw that. I saw it. Uh, this lady came up to me. She said her daughter overdosed, and I told her I saw God. She said no one has saw God and lived, and I just stared at her. Well, Damon, it's a challenging thing to hear that and just embrace it as a truth, especially if you're hearing it from someone who is just some stranger on the street. Yes, I am proud of you too, Brenda. I feel like you are really kicking ass. And every time that you share, what? I don't see Glenn anymore. Shouting. Are you talking about me? No, it's a little bit of a delay. I'll say something, and somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds go by, and then you, whoever I'm addressing, will reply, and holy cow, I've forgotten then. So I know that I said something about people not wanting to just embrace what a stranger tells them on the street. So uh, that's Shawneen is talking to me, Glenn. But why did Shawneen say I don't see Glenn anymore? What? So Damon says it feels good to tell people because I'm being truthful. Isn't it more than that? You're giving other people a chance to grow from your experience. You're giving other people a chance to experience some of the experiences that you've been through and experience the growth that you've experienced because you went through them, and they don't have to go through it themselves. Or if they do have to go through it, they don't have to have that same level of fear of the unknown that they would have had without talking to you. That was that's a good point, wasn't it? Thanks for the laugh. The confusion is funny. April, Glenn, and Shawneen. So Tanya, since you're here, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about what the experience was like sharing your story way back in Brevard, whenever that was. That was in March, maybe. I don't, or was that January? I don't remember. You see the chat, but the video isn't there. Okay. Shawneen, I'm gonna go out on a ledge and think that might have something to do with pilot error. But unless other people are having that experience too. See, here's another benefit of sharing your experience. Yeah, March. Okay. So yeah, Tanya, tell us a little bit about what the experience of sharing your story was like. Was it what you expected? Easier, more difficult? So now the pressure's on. Brenda says, Damon, you should feel special. God has spoken to me a couple of times and moved me once. I wish I could see him. Maybe someday. I am jealous. You are so lucky. Oh, cool. I see. I don't think there should be too much of a too traumatic not to see me. So Tanya says, I said today, I was always I always wondered how stars feel when they go watch themselves. Must be weird. Yes, very weird. Your questions made it easy. It's a powerful experience. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tanya. Damon says, Brenda, I feel blessed. I couldn't believe he was right in front of me. And Tanya says, I hope the message reached someone who needs it. So let's just see how the message is doing right now. So we're just going to have a look at the at Drew McGuire's story with the Drew spelled correctly and see how it's doing so far in this first how long it's been almost an hour, and right now total number of views is 997, and we just give it a second and it's going to be over 1,000 just any second. It right now it is doing YouTube says right now it's doing 8% better than the high end of our average. So that's really awesome. Now it's at 1,006. So it's reached 1,000 people in less than an hour, and it'll keep doing that for a while. That's a very cool thing. So I'm gonna share something with you guys that some of you I think have probably some of you were in on the premieres of the domestic violence stories. It was a two-part series with Gina Dobson and right. So some of you saw that series. Maybe So Brenda says, Tanya, Drew's journey has fueled me staying clean almost all day. I watched a sneak peek version as soon as Glenn posted. I had almost forgotten about non opiates being laced. Thank you for sharing. April says, that's amazing. So awesome. Thank you so much, Tanya, for sharing Drew with us and the problems we're all facing. Drew's journey will save countless lives for decades to come. What a wonderful legacy. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really it's fantastic. I think that that there is that that to get to find a thing like sharing the story that can be a way to just pull out a little bit of value out of the loss, to make it count for something, to make it a warning for other people out there. Well, I'm filling up again, Tanya. I'm not sure I understand what that means, but I probably okay. Tanya, you're filling up again. Maybe about the fueled me with what Brenda said. That's awesome. Tanya says, Brenda, my nephew died in New York from street marijuana laced with fentanyl. That is a thing. Hello, Kristen. Glad you're here. I appreciate you joining us. We are 45 minutes into it. How about that? We've had it's been a weird couple of weeks because we had the we have a couple of new topics that we're publishing now. The cannabis induced psychosis and the domestic violence series are both topics that we're addressing more, and so we've kind of been divided between fentanyl stories and those topics. Plus, there was a trip to Portsmouth, Virginia, and the trip to the White House. So it's been a kind of a chaotic couple of weeks, and then my wife and I were able to take this tiny little vacation at this. We went to this kind of a resort hotel kind of place just on the edge of Houston, and we had a couple of nights there, and it was it was pretty it's a pretty awesome little break. So let me catch up here. We have to get our cannabis card, so we are smoking clean weed. Yeah. Okay. That is where are you, Kristen? Are you? I don't remember. I'm sure you've told me before, and I know I should remember, but I don't remember where you're at. Tanya says, Damon, that's the safest bet. Uh, not buying anything. Yeah, there you go. Damon's in Florida. Kristen, where are you? Kristen, I was outside gardening in the fennel and trimming basswood trees. Woohoo! Support at the White House. Yeah, folks. Holy cow! That was an interesting experience. We were there as invited guests at the White House. All right, Krista in Pennsylvania. Yes, we shot in Pennsylvania. We shot. What was the senator's name? We met with him. Bob Casey. Is that right? Casey, senator from Pennsylvania who did not get reelected. We met with him and also met with Mike McCormick, who is the current senator who defeated him. Well, I'm getting behind. Don't get anything off the streets, April says. Only prescription meds, weed, whatever, and watch the interactions between prescription drugs. Doctors sometimes prescribe you anything and don't tell you they have. Yes, Bob Casey. I can tell you about Bob Casey. I can tell you some. It was a very cool experience. We met him at the Senate office building. It was me and my wife and two of our storytellers, one from Pennsylvania. And in Casey's office, we went, it's surreal to walk through the Senate office building and pass office after office that has a name on the door that you recognize. And you look inside and it's just an office. And there's people, it's a nice office, but it's just an office. And inside there's people just doing their work. But so in Casey's office, we went in there and it was, our storyteller's story, and whoever it was, their name escapes me, but we went into his office and when I go into someone's office, I tend to really just dig deep. I start looking around and start trying to find things that help me figure out the person whose office it is. And so it was a nice office, well presented and organized, except for the top of his desk, which wasn't a mess, but it had some work in progress stacks going. And one of the stacks, somewhere in the middle of the stack was a picture that was halfway in the stack. It wasn't there to be noticed, but I recognized it because we had just done, we had just finished the story for the storyteller that I was there with. And that picture that I was only seeing a sliver of, that picture was in the story as well. And it's on his desk. And it's not on his desk for the storyteller to notice, but it's there. And that really struck me. Brenda says, Tanya, I am the luckiest ex-junkie in the world to have the support of a group of warriors fighting to save lives, mine included. Not sure I deserve all of you, but I am not going anywhere ever. Damon says, if they didn't be so hard on weed, people might not have turned to hard drugs. Maybe. But there is, I'm learning a lot about weed that I did not know. And I'm learning about things that have happened to weed over the last 10 or 20 years, over that period as it becomes more and more legally accessible. It's changing, and it is not, it's not the natural thing anymore. Anyone who tells you weed's just an herb, it's just natural, no, it's not. Not anymore. When I was in high school, during the Lincoln administration, when I was in high school, I was in high school during the Carter administration, and the weed that was there then it's not what it is now. It's not. Another person told me it's not your Woodstock weed. It's not. It is engineered. It is cultivated, modified to boost the level of THC. Back when, back 20, 30 years ago, weed was sort of a social thing, much like alcohol can be. And back then, the THC content was around 3 to 5%, and even in joints, the content can be 5 times that now. And that's because of how it's being grown, how it's being fertilized, how it's being treated. And so, uh, okay, so well, I see we have a recipe. I think this is the first recipe we've had in the chat when we do these live things. Uh, Let me catch up on where we're at, but I really wanted to point out I am learning about cannabis, and in the cannabis induced psychosis series that we've started. Holy cow! It is really it has drawn a lot of fire. It has drawn a lot of challenges, and that's awesome because challenges, friction means that something's being accomplished. If people are talking about it, we're doing something right. April says weed affects people differently. And then here's something that I'm noticing when I talk to people who use cannabis. One thing that I hear a lot is that there's a well, I like this kind of weed, but not that. And I hear just an understanding that the results aren't 100% predictable. That the general feeling is predictable, but after using it, you will hear users say, "Well, that was a good batch. or yeah, that batch was kind of lame, or whatever. But there is just this understanding that it's not going to be consistent, and it's just an and it's just accepted. Why I don't understand that. So the overdose age is getting lower and lower. Brenda says, Damon, yes, hindsight is always 2020. We have to move forward to save the children. hindsight Hindsight is also the only time you can figure out where your rock bottom was. You don't know what rock bottom was until it's behind you. Shaky, the first time, Brenda says, Shaky, the first time I smelled weed, I ended up walking 5 miles home from a first date with a boy. There was not a second date. I was a prude in my youth. Good job. Good job. Be a prude. That's okay. Forward Drive says weed causes anxiety, panic attacks, paranoia, reduced reflex time, etc. These young bucks think weed is the answer. I did it too when I was young. I did too. Not often. Probably all of the times that I tried cannabis in my life, under 10 times in my life. And one of those times was in Amsterdam. So Kristen says, Brenda, it saves on my wallet, I'm sure. Thousands of dollars. I'm using it for pain relief and to help me sleep. So our series about cannabis induced psychosis doesn't challenge anything. It doesn't say no, that's not valid. We're just exploring what the stories are that are out there. A couple of the stories, one story in particular, we have several. Yeah, I've been to Amsterdam 3 times for business. Not yeah, so oil and gas industry related business. We've done a lot of video production work over the course of 18 years of being in business, and before that, working for another production company. Huh. Brenda, I suppose I was wrong about that comment I made earlier about asking questions and uh, so Glenn's group here strengthens my recovery of 20 years now. Awesome, awesome, Kristen. Let me show you something. So yeah, for I start actually the anniversary is coming up. I started my career in video production August 8th, 1988. What an easy date to remember. 8/8/88. And most of that time is doing work for oil and gas. uh, well, I wondered down there, the in Amsterdam, the red light district is also the oldest part of the city. It really is. It's the most historic. Yeah, I went down there. I also went by the place where Anne Frank hid out. So I can share with you guys. So because of the work, because of the oil and gas clients that I've done work for, I've gotten to travel quite a bit. So I can share with you guys some of the we've done a lot of travel for the Fentanyl series. Schizo Big O production. Damon, I don't know what to do with that. But here's so if you're curious, okay, here's the places where I've been. That's round, round, get around, I get around. Yeah, so I've literally been to every continent on Earth except Antarctica on someone else's money, and so it is. It, it's a blessing to have been so many places. The place that impressed me most, which is probably going to be a surprise, was India. Loved it. I saw people using elephants to move furniture. Monkeys are everywhere. Uh, so Brenda says, Kristen says, I never smoked in Holland because I was worried I'd miss the bus to my next gig on Fahorn. What? Should I know that? Should I know what that is? Fahorn? Fhorn? So Brenda says, oldest part of the city with the world's oldest profession. I worked in oil and gas for 5 years. So that part of Amsterdam, there is a canal that runs through it, and these bridges that go over the canal, and the farther you go down the canal, the the service providers go down too. Yeah. So anyway, Brenda, okay, let me catch up here. I get around. Yeah, ooh, you get around. Wow. Yeah, I have. I'm. There's something to French horn. French horn. I didn't. Yeah. I love Holland's windmills and Dutch shoes. Yeah. So there's the thing about travel, and I'm going to share it with you guys because it's a really it's an important quote, I think, and it's from Mark Twain. Mark Twain says, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow mindedness. And many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. This is Mark Twain. This is insight that's 100 years old. And it is as important today as ever. Let me catch up. Okay, French one. Tanya says it's all about different cultures. I found it odd Holland doesn't have the drug problem we do. Yeah, they kind of do. It's different, but it is there. I remember there's a there's like a town square, a central square where a lot of the users hang out. I guess would be the way to describe it. And it is a sad square. There is very little motivation there. There is a lot of just hardly moving. So Amsterdam, Brenda says, so Amsterdam's red light district works. Oh, it rolled away. Red light district works the same as the Las Vegas Strip, high end to the north, blue collar on the south end. Yeah, well, I didn't have a compass, but there was definitely a high end area, and it declined as you went the other direction. We can say that you keep going down there, you figure eventually you're gonna see service providers that are using walkers. I didn't, but it seemed like if I kept walking, I would. So Shaky Beans, there was a comment on the day he was born and the day he died. Are you talking about Mark Twain? I've never heard that. I wouldn't really surprise me. Let's see. I guess I didn't see it. Kristen, when you garden in Pennsylvania in your wooden Dutch shoes on the hill is very challenging. My pal Michael, who lives there, laughs and says there are no hills in Amsterdam. Great reading by Mark Twain. Yeah, yeah. It is. It is. It's really good. I keep it on the desktop on my computer. So yeah, it's a favorite of mine. You have to send the National Guard to the West Coast. Where am I? You have to send the National Guard to the West Coast. It's gone if they don't. Gone? I don't. I don't know. I feel like there's an animation I need to find to be able to show you guys that is. Uh, I don't have. I am. How do I say this without pissing someone off? Uh, both political parties have had a bite at the fentanyl issue and done nothing. The fentanyl issue spans 4 administrations and includes both parties. Both parties had a crack at it. Both parties let it go. That's a failure on the part of both parties. This time around, the current administration is doing something. But last time around, this current administration did nothing, and that was a period of the most substantial increases in fatalities in the country. So it's great that they're doing something now. That is awesome. But they had a bite at the apple when we had lost half as many people also. But the problem began with the Obama administration. So, Crazy Eyes. I drove into downtown Sacramento every day, and I see people actively using daily, and I have also seen many drug deals while sitting in my car on my lunch break. The law does nothing. Might be gone under tsunami warning right now from Russian earthquake. Is there a tsunami warning? Wow, cool. I mean, not okay, not cool, but interesting. Everyone is making money on this. Everyone is making money every step of the process. When laws get enforced, attorneys make money, defense attorneys and prosecutors make money. The uh, every step of the way, there's money. When it's being enforced, there is budget increases for overtime pay. So there's a lot of nonsense out there. That's my whole point with the fentanyl thing, is that the crisis spans 4 administrations. Everybody had a crack. Everybody had a chance and let it go. And so to think there is any substantial reason that one party is better than the other is it's it's not paying attention. April says she lost 3 under Biden. Forward Drive says defund, not defend. Damon says it should be a national emergency. Yeah, actually, in 2017, the CDC. I better check because otherwise I will. I don't want to get it wrong, but let me just. According to the CDC, the increasing presence of fentanyl in illicit drugs began in 2013, 12 years ago. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services declared the opioid crisis a public health emergency in 2017. Deaths from illicit fentanyl have increased dramatically, consistently for the last 13 years, with no change in the trend related to any change in administration or border policy. The crisis spans 4 administrations and includes both parties. So that might have gotten somebody upset. Everyone is making money. JD has experience with it. That's why. He does have experience with it. He's in recovery. His mother, right? Forward Drive, defund, not defend. Brenda says, crazy? Yes. Too many players in the addiction game are getting rich, and it's shameful. They have to answer to their makers soon enough. Tanya says, as a gentleman said at the last rally, it's not a red or blue problem. It is a red, white, and blue problem. That drug seems like it's worse than crack cocaine. That drug meaning fentanyl? It is worse than crack. It's caused more deaths than crack. There is there's a comment that we get a lot on fentanyl stories, a lot, a fair amount, is people being critical of how people criticize it, people using the way fentanyl is being addressed as a way to complain about how the crack epidemic was handled. Kristen says, my guess is the crack rock is laced with fentanyl too. Probably, because it's a way to create a more potent product with less production cost. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. They don't have to rely on crops. They don't have to rely on seasons and growing cycles and all of that farmer stuff. They just make it in a lab. So it's easier. April says, I lived through my crack addiction, thank God. I've been clean since 2011. It was not killing people the same at all. Right. And crack users knew they were using crack. For a lot of the stories in our series, the fentanyl victim had the impression that they were using something else. Damon says they need to put a 5-year mandatory. If you get caught with one, you go to prison. That will help. That could help. That could have a great impact. I think that the real trick to solving the problem has to be doing something about the demand. Without the demand, there would be no reason to bring it into the country. There would be no reason to make it domestically. And there is plenty of domestic production of fentanyl as well. There's pill presses. There's a reason states are making pill presses illegal. It's because they're being used to manufacture counterfeit pills. That's domestic. But if we could do something about the demand, then supply wouldn't matter even a little bit. April, I tried crack. The high was way too short for me. Glenn, did I use the correct version of tooth? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah. Way too. Yes. Yeah, I see it right there. Okay. Yeah. Good job. And not locking them up. Here's an interesting thing. You know that this country sends more of its population to prison and for longer terms than any other industrialized nation in the world, except for Russia. That was true. That was true 10 years ago. I'm assuming it's still true, but I don't know. But I do know absolutely it was true in 2015. But that doesn't fit with the perception, right? We don't think that's accurate. We hear about criminals running free all the time. We hear about stories where where people get probation for serious offenses all the time. I didn't mean to stump you guys. Damon, Texas, just charged a fentanyl dealer with murder. She was arrested a few days ago. Damon? I don't know. Texas is a big place. That's awesome. Now, I saw something. I saw something on Facebook. I think there is more and more of that coming along in different parts of the country. Jail is a money racket for sure. Oh, jeez. Sorry, I just had to look just for a minute. All right, so I'm with you guys. So forward drive, Kristen, baking soda, baby laxative, ether. Ew. Baby laxative. Does anybody? I've heard that before. Baby laxative. It baffles me that a baby would need a laxative because babies I've known tend to be pretty productive in that department. But anyway, a walk in their shoes. It's unfortunate to watch the healthcare system spin its wheels and fail so many daily. I believe a huge percentage of those failing, stuck in active addiction, have an overlooked mental illness. That's a possible thing. Crockett, Texas. Now, Crockett, I know where Crockett is. I've been there. Police department, if you want to look up the article. I was addicted. Kristen says I was addicted to cocaine for 6 years. That was the same 6 years I was in and out of AA and didn't have a sponsor. I quit drugs before I got a sponsor. I learned you can still be on drugs and get an AA sponsor. There you go, Brad. You asked about the dogs, or somebody asked about the dogs. There they go. So, Kristen, do you ultimately feel that you didn't have a sponsor? Was that your choice, or was that just how it worked out? Did you scare people? And how do you? It seems like getting a sponsor is a priority, and being a sponsor, a lot of people in AA are motivated who want to be sponsors, want to help people in the group. They need to make getting caught with blue the same as caught with a gun by a felon. Maybe, maybe so. Or they aren't being treated a walk in their shoes, or they aren't being treated adequately. Even a beautiful soul will go to any lengths to make the pain stop. Shaky, you gotta widowed WTF. It's hard to figure out what that belongs with. Brenda said Kristen AA is only for alcohol because Bill Wilson was on barbiturates from the day he got sober to the day he died. NA is one for drugs and alcohol. And Kristen says you don't know what you don't know. Now that's a big one right there. You don't know what you don't know. It's also a big one. Brenda, AA is only for alcohol because Bill, yeah. So I have had many people in recovery and many people who are counselors and researchers say that it's not about a specific, and it's not about a specific substance. Former White House drug czar, his name is Robert DuPont. He told me it's not about the substance. It's about the addiction. He said that there is there's a lot more that's wrong with an addict than the addiction. And there is a lot more right with an addict in recovery than that they're not doing substances anymore. So I thought that was powerful. Substance use disorder people should go to rehab. Dealers should go to jail. That seems reasonable. I mean, it's not illegal to be on drugs. It's illegal to possess them, to possess illicit drugs. But it isn't illegal to be on drugs. People don't go to jail for being on drugs. They wind up going to jail for things that they do while they're on drugs sometimes, but it's not because they're on drugs. It's not illegal. Damon, disagree. Arresting people with the disease of addiction is not going to fix the problem. That's true. Arresting users isn't going to fix the problem. Arresting dealers isn't doing anything to address the demand that motivates the dealers either. As long as there is a demand, there is going to be entrepreneurs out there who are going to see an opportunity to make money, and they're going to fill the void. If we manage to stop all the illicit drugs that are flowing into this country from other countries, then people in this country, entrepreneurs in this country, will figure out a way to make something domestically that achieves the same result and taps into that money-making market that is the demand. All right, let me catch up. My first sponsor didn't do step work. My second sponsor from California had done step work. I needed step work, Kristen says. I used AA for alcohol, cocaine, cigarettes, meth, LSD, ecstasy, and to quit having sex. Okay. Damon says you might wake up in jail, but you'll still be alive. Well, that's true. But it isn't really addressing the issue either. Forward subs are government dope. Forward subs, is that Suboxone? Are government dope, just changing from street corner boy to government as your dealer. I disagree with the long term use of Suboxone, right? That's what we're talking about. Walking their shoes. Thank you for all that you do, all that you do to keep the topic relevant and to help with awareness. Your content is valuable and appreciated. I guess you're talking to me. Thank you. Thank you. I feel so fortunate, so really blessed to be involved in this kind of battle, being in the good fight for the good reason. It's very, it's such a blessing to me. People die in jail just the same. Yeah. Brenda, I just said the same thing for been on Suboxone since 2014. I knew a crackhead named Angel who said being arrested is being rescued. There is that. I've heard that. I've heard that from users in recovery, and I've heard it from counselors as well. Is that the time that you spend in custody, if you're waiting on a trial or if you're serving time, serving county time or whatever, it can be a forced detox. I understand that there's many jails that still get that have drugs in them. I'm aware, but I've had many recovery people who share their stories with us say that jail saved their lives. Say that they were in jail and that gave them a chance to detox. Say, Ford, oh my, are you thinking about stopping Suboxone? Please be extra careful. It is a detox worse than fentanyl and lasts much longer. Has your clinic suggested you stay on subs? Kristen says everyone needs AA step work. Who wants to highlight what's important to you? I do. Who wants to find their favorite color highlighter? I do. Who wants to find a new higher power? I do. Awesome, Kristen. Damon says if fentanyl has gotten out of control and now government knows it's the worst drug to battle. I think fentanyl has always been out of control. I don't think as it permeated the market, I don't think anything ever happened that where there was a time when it was really under control. And in jail, they don't get treatment for withdrawal. You can die from that alone. Even alcoholics need medical. Okay, April. You can die from that alone. Even alcoholics need medical assistance for detox, but especially opioids, Xanax, and others, I'm sure. And Brenda says, Kristen, in my opinion, no one needs step work. Bill W. and Dr. Bob didn't do the steps. Why should I? Cancer patients don't do the steps. Why should I? Yeah, that's brilliant. Now, Dr. Bob says, whatever works for you. He does say that. I could quit all day long. Staying stopped is the miracle of the step work. Don't quit before the miracle. Well, okay, guys, don't quit before the miracle. That sounds familiar, doesn't it, Brenda? I'm pretty sure I've heard you say something similar. Damon says it's some addicted, so want it. Okay. April says they have other options than Suboxone or Methadone. They have Brixadi, Sublocade, and Vivitrol shots that last 30 days to 45 and take away the cravings, etc. The Vivitrol shot is something that I have heard of in the course of doing stories about addiction recovery. And the shot, people say great things about the shot. The only complaint I've really heard about the shot is that it's expensive. You are missing out about the best class you could ever take about yourself, says Kristen, talking about the step work, talking about uh, AA and NA, all the 12 steps stuff. Brenda says, don't get the wrong idea. I love AA because I know many people who got clean and sober in the rooms. It's just not for me. That's a thing. That's a totally valid thing. Brenda is on a good path. She is on a solid path. She is helping others and sharing her recovery with people who benefit from hearing about it. That's awesome. Forward drive, April, yes. However, it's not so much about VC. Okay. I'm trying to keep track of you people. You guys are kind of just running off without me here. Brenda says, "Oh yes, I love AA. I love the AA saying they are quotes to live by." Kristen says, "If anyone wants to do the step work with me, I'll take you through the big book, The California Way, the Cali Way, the California Way." I've heard the term California sober, which is a nonsense term that means not sober. So anyway, Damon says they found an apartment full of college students dead after they thought they bought cocaine. Forward drive says April cravings as it is the withdrawal pains. Kristen, I am laughing so hard I may cry. You are killing me. April says AA and A didn't work for me either. God help me. I'm working on changing that problem with the pricing for the shots, Brixadi, Sublocade, and Vivitrol. Kristen, I did the steps. Sorry, where am I? Brenda says, Kristen, I did the steps and had a trauma response that sent me back to a therapist. My first trip back in 15 years. Hmm. What is VC? Forward drive. Forward drive says the only good thing about the subs is you know exactly what you're getting, even if it's off the street, because they come in that sealed little envelope. Well, that could be a good valid argument. Christian says, I don't want to get on drugs to get off drugs. I was on fentanyl for 3 years. My doctor offered detox at rehab with methadone. I withdrew myself off fentanyl. It took me 9 months and I did it myself. That's awesome, Christian. Brenda did it herself too. That's I think ultimately everyone has to do it themselves, because it's one of those you gotta want it. You gotta be at that place in your head where you want it, you genuinely want it. Forward Drive says to Kristen, outstanding, and get on one of those. Speaking of which, we've got 22 of these, and there's over 30 people in the group. So come on, thumbs up, please. Damon says, I thank God I've walked away from the life of chasing drugs and drinking. Good job, Damon. Uh, uh, we're all happy with you. We're all with you on this. But it really is about time to wrap it up. I don't know. Holy cow. Time has so gotten away. We have been here uh, over 100 minutes. Brenda says, Kristen, my husband kept begging to take me to the ER during detox. I told him, heck no, I will not go and be pumped full of methadone or any other substitute. I wanted to be totally clean or dead. Let's just go with totally clean. Kristen says, I had a horrible experience with the people at AA too. Sponsors' boyfriends taking me to court. You have to find the winners. Stick with the winners. That is something that I hear about AA and NA a lot, is that you have to find the group that works for you, the group that you fit in with. You know, like this group that we have right here is a group that we fit in together with. We have fun with each other. We poke fun at each other. We support each other. We console each other. But we're a good fit. But there is also some people who join this event, this live event, and just watch and never really make any comments, because there's, like right now, there's over 30 people in the audience, but only a few of them are involved in the interaction, in the chat. And the same thing works with AA meetings. They happen all over the place all the time. And if you go to one where you don't fit, you just go to a different one. And from what I'm told, eventually you find one that just feels perfect. That's what people who are supporters of the AA process, that's what they tell me. If you get on drugs in this day and time, you're a fool. People are mean out there. But when a person first starts using, it's not a decision to get on drugs. It's just trying something, looking for a little comfort, or looking for a little entertainment, or whatever. Nobody sets out to become an addict. That's awesome. April says, that's awesome, Kristen. You have to go through those withdrawals to get completely clean and feel better. I completely understand. Forward drive, my heart's with you. You do what works for you to live. That is such a key. That is really a key, to just do what works for you. There is no absolute path. There is no follow this route. Brenda says, Lila, hello. I almost didn't see you sneak in. Thanks again for giving. Oh, geez. Okay, well. Oh, yeah, she's up there. That's awesome. Yes. So, Brenda says, Kristen, where are you located? I go to a speakers meeting every month. Those are my favorite. And Damon says, no, I'm sorry, I'm behind here. I've not been to AA to 6 or 7 years because of hateful people threatening my life. Okay, that doesn't really sound like a typical AA meeting. I hadn't heard anyone say their life was threatened before. So, but you're there, Kristen. You are on it like a rat on a Cheeto. So stay with what you're doing. Hello, Julie. Thank you for joining us. But it is about time to wrap it up. We have been here almost 2 hours. And so let me see. I was on Vicodin for 7 years. Forward Drive says I was on Vicodin for 7 years. I could cold turkey quit and got my life and feelings back. About a year later, a friend of mine gave me a little sliver of sub, and I ended up addicted. Kristen is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Kristen, you should certainly be a part of our private group on Facebook. If you're on Facebook and you have any interest in sharing your story with the channel, you should certainly be in our Facebook group. You can find me on Facebook and friend me, and then send me a message asking me to invite you to the group if you'd like to do that. And for any of you, if you want to be a part of the group, you're welcome. The group is called Texas Picture Storytellers. And in the group, it is primarily people who have shared stories with us or people who want to share stories with us whenever we get to whatever part of the country they're in. And so it is a great hub where we keep everyone up to date as best we can. But clearly, we forget stuff now and then. Ford, that was not a friend who gave you that piece of a sub. I am sorry that happened to you, says Brenda. Kristen says they came to my house and threatened my life. I believe in God and his higher hierarchy of angels for protection. And you're good. You're good now. Kristen's not on Facebook. Maybe I should try again due to threats. I don't know what to say to that. I don't think you should get on Facebook if there's a risk of getting threatened. That doesn't seem worth it to me. That's not the typical function of social media. You can restrict account access all kinds of ways. But aside from that, you can still pay attention to what happens here on our YouTube channel, and everything that happens gets announced on our channel as well. That in the community section on our channel, there's always announcements, just like there's announcements when there's a premiere or announcements when we have some major event coming up, like a storytelling summit. Forward Drive says, Brenda, yeah, he was jealous that I got clean. He died last year from an overdose of Opana. That's a new word for me. He was only 31. Okay. All right. So we are almost at 2 hours. It is time to wrap this up before the battery on the camera goes dead. So we got to do that. And holy cow, it's getting late. I know. I'm sure Brad has already dozed off. Julie says, me neither, Kristen. My account was hacked and duplicated, and I look like I'm wanted by the Phoenix PD. Forward Drive. Till next time then. Forward, I have had nothing but praise for getting clean. So sad they were jealous of your extremely hard work. Peace, kindness, and love. Okay. So thank you all for joining us. Again, I am so grateful for you guys to be a part of all of this. And we will have another premiere tomorrow. Right, Julie? We're having a premiere tomorrow. And that will be a story of domestic violence. It's called Good Cops, Bad Cops. So, thank you all for being here. And I always close with the same message that you guys can always reach out to me, and I will do my very best to help you any way I can. So here's some closing information. You can email me at any time at info@texas-pictures.com. You can find me on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, don't feel pressured to be on Facebook. You certainly don't need to be on Facebook. But if you're on Facebook, you can find us on Facebook. You can find me by my name, Glenn Muse, or you can find the Texas Pictures page on Facebook. And we are also on TikTok. Don't really pay a whole lot of attention to messages there. And you can visit our website, and on our website, texas-pictures.com, you can find information about how to share your story, how to create a storytelling summit in your area. You can find a link on the homepage about merchandise that is available and other ways to contact us. There's a phone number and our mailing address and all of that cool stuff. So I want to thank you all again for joining us and wish you guys a good night.